Welcome to another week in the adult education program of Grace United Methodist Church in Winfield, Kansas. This week we're exploring three social issues at the United Methodist Church table where the miracle of dialogue happens. I question whether there is any conversation which is any more universal and global in nature than a conversation concerning these three issues. Number one, medical experimentation and research. 2, organ donation and transplantation. And 3, reproductive health and abortion. These issues affect every human community that exists together. Now let's take a look at these advices offered to us in the form of social principles. Let's remind ourselves these statements are not church law requiring obedience. Rather, these advices are to be considered before we speak or make decisions. The first one of the three is medical experimentation and research. It's let's look at what it said. First quote, we support medical experimentation and research procedures that hold the potential of eradicating illness and disease and or improving the quality of human life. And we advocate for meticulous oversight of all forms of medical experimentation. It's an interesting social principle because it can easily be read with casual interest in 2025. However, one reference in this paragraph dealing with this issue raises a clear memory in my mind that 25 years ago, genetic engineering was a hot social issue. Strong voices were voiced that indeed this was an invasion of science into the created natural order and must be vigorously resisted. Other voices welcomed the possibility of saving lives and improving the quality of life for many that the process of genetic engineering provided. This was the cover story of medical research. Now is simply an ingredient in the advice of the church that medical research, including genetic engineering, is must simply be carried on with meticulous oversight because it serves not only the present age, but the ages yet to come. Not as controversial as it was 25 years ago, but it's still an issue that must be addressed in the global community. Secondly, organ donation and transplantation. The statement is pretty clear, and it says, we strongly support organ donation as an expression of Christ's admonition to love one's neighbor. To love one's neighbor is the foundation of this statement of the church being strongly supportive of organ donation. The neighbor is a radically inclusive category. Neighbors next door, neighbors around the world, and The phrase, regardless of potential recipients of social standing, is a phrase, regardless of a potential recipient's social standing, all must be eligible to benefit from the process of organ donation. Regretfully, the beneficiaries of this medical process are often determined by social class or the ability to pay rather than the medical needs of individuals. The assumption that all medical research must be for the common good of the community rather than only benefiting a privileged few. We've come a long ways, but we've got a long way to go to be sure that neighbor isn't determined by the ability to pay or social class. It's determined by the nature of the human race. Thirdly, reproductive health and abortion. Now, before reading the key elements of this advice, it's important to remember the recent history of the response of the United Methodist Church to this issue in the United States. Over the decades, reproductive health and abortion was the dividing issue in the political and social life of the United States. However, it never became the dividing issue in the United Methodist Church. For the past 50 years, the advice of the church has been that whereas abortion was not condoned, the right of the individual to decide what was best for them and their family was protected. There was never a serious attempt for this statement to become a part of United Methodist Church governing law. This position always had the support of General Conference delegates. I served my 16 years as a presiding bishop in the state of Texas and in the state of Oklahoma. During this time, when this issue was on the headlines and everybody was talking about it, the overwhelming majority of questions and requests for opinions concerning this issue came from the media, other secular sources, and other denominations, not from United Methodist Church lay or clergy members. That was always amazing to me. Now, this 50-year tradition continues today. Let me just read a few sentences. First of all, we support the provision of comprehensive, age-appropriate education for sexual health. We recognize that many tragic conflicts of life with life may justify the decision to terminate the life of a fetus. In these limited circumstances, we support the legal option of abortion and insist that procedures be performed by trained medical providers in clean and safe settings. We do not condone abortion because of our belief in the sanctity of human life. To summarize what's been a part of our position for 50 years and continues today, we do not condone, but neither do we deny the right of self-determination. That is the advice we are asked to consider. My response to this issue is twofold. First, deep appreciation for the distinction between church advice and church governance. Secondly, the conclusion that I've reached that gender-specific laws in any arena of social existence are problematic and unjust. We do not condone, neither do we deny the right of self-determination. That's, in a nutshell, the advice of the church concerning reproductive life and abortion. For your thought and conversation, why, in your opinion, did the most divisive issue in the culture, that being abortion, fail to become the most divisive issue in the United Methodist Church? Secondly, what's your response to the understanding that gender-specific laws are problematic and unjust? And finally, what concerns or disagreements do you have with this set of advices? Thanks for being on the journey with us.